I'm here to talk about the Jonah Hill thing from the perspective of a domestic violence survivor. So, one of the first things when I was in a domestic violence relationship 20 years ago, I was 19 years old when it started. One of the first things that happened is he tried to control what I wore. He said that he didn't like my wardrobe, he didn't like the things that I wore. And he actually took me to stores I hated and didn't want to shop at, and he bought me clothes. And at the time, I went along with it because I was young, and I don't know, I guess I had this internalized misogyny, and I was like, well, he's cute and I want to look pretty for him. So he changed my wardrobe. And then, part of the thing, one of the added things, one of the additional things going on was that he went to this really, Pentecostal Christian church that had very conservative and sexist views about women. So, I started dressing, quote, pretty for him or whatever. And then, when I went to church, I was wearing, a long skirt, stuff that I had worn to school events and whatever. And the pastor's wife took me aside and she was like, you can't wear stuff like that because we have women who have husbands here. And it was I was 19, dude. She's talking about these people married who are in their late 20s and 30s. Anyway, so that just that added to things. So it was one of those damned if I do, damned if I don't, or whatever. So so that was one thing. And then another thing is that he tried to control who I saw and spent time with. So at the time, because he was Christian, he specifically stated, he's like, I don't want you to hang out with these friends, including my best friend, because they are of the world. That's what he called it, non-Christians of the world. They are of the world and will lead you down a bad path. And then he tried to get me to hang out with girls from church, and I really tried, and I was like, they're not my type of people. I found them really boring, and I just didn't want to hang out with them. So I didn't listen to him on that front of get rid of your friends or whatever. And then things came to a head one night. The next part might be triggering for domestic violence survivors, but things came to a head. We'd gone out, and I had a couple of drinks with my friends, and he became really angry about it, and he insisted that we leave. We began arguing in the street, and people were staring and stuff like that. And then he was like, I'm driving you home. And I was like, fine. I was just so embarrassed because we were arguing in the street, and I was like, all right, let's go home. And on the way home, he threatened to crash the car. We were driving down the highway, and he always drove really fast. And he threatened to crash the car. He was so angry that I had been with my friends and that I had had the audacity to have 2 alcoholic drinks. And then he was and if anything happens and the cops show up, if we don't die or something, if the cops show up, I'll tell them that you did it, that you took the wheel from me because you were drinking. And so I fucking froze for the rest of the car ride home. And then when he dropped me off at my parents' house, I went inside crying hysterically. And the thing was he did not act this way in front of most other people. So I had friends that didn't believe me when I told them about how he was, because he just didn't act that way in front of others. So Anyways, what I'm trying to say about the Jonah Hill thing is that people are like grossly saying, oh, he's just setting boundaries. Like, it's okay to set boundaries in relationship. Like, no. I mean, this is not a boundary setting situation. This is a control situation. Like, he is trying to control what she wears, who she sees, what she does, because he's jealous and possessive. And that's where it starts. So it doesn't seem like a big deal right now, but it can lead to things like him being so upset about seeing her friends, seeing people that he doesn't want her to see, that he becomes violent with her, physically violent, or kills her. Like, that's why this stuff is serious to me. And like, I didn't, when this stuff was going on, I didn't even recognize the signs of abuse. I didn't know that it was abuse until years later. But those were the early warning signs, and I just want to raise more awareness about that. So